Hey, it's Ashley and I'm back with another tutorial today. I will be covering how to get the perfect straight razor shave where your clients will come back and ask for another one. This is going to be a moisturizer with a hot towel. Hot towels are extremely important in the shaving. If you do not have a hot towel warmer, I highly suggest you get one, or you can always get a crock pot and warm your towels up in there if it's not feasible to afford a hot towel warmer. So then I will be going in with my shaving cream and making sure that I am moving my brush on the client's face to get the hairs to lift up and get ready to be shaved, and then going underneath the client's neck. I will be applying the shaving cream in all directions so that I can get under each hair follicle so that it lifts. I like to use a very concentrated shaving cream that I then mix with my brush and hot water to make a nice lather. Depending on what you are using, you want to make sure that you are either mixing it correctly or that you are not putting too little on the client's face so that they don't have a smooth shave. So then I'm going to apply another hot towel with the shaving lather so that we can get the skin really nice and soft and work that underneath all of those hair follicles so that they can lift right up and we're not trying to fight them when we are shaving. And then removing that from the client's face just a little bit, keeping it a nice massage. They are here to relax, so make sure we are taking that in mind and we're not rushing. This lineup should take you about 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm reapplying my shaving lather and I am adding water onto the spot before I go in with my razor, and then tilting the client's head a little so that I can have a better angle. And then starting at the hairline, I am going to just work the C shape so that it's nice and clean. And then continuing towards the client's face. Men do tend to grow a lot of hair on the under eye, so we will be going back. And then just kind of bringing that towards me in the direction of the hair growth. So after you go the direction of the hair growth, you want to go back and go against the hair. But you only want to do this once you have that hair cut extremely short so that you're not pushing hair back into the client's skin and causing ingrowns. And then just continuing back to where we started. And then I'm going to go back underneath the client's eyes and double check for any hairs, taking off dead skin as well. So now that we have that area pretty cleaned up, we're going to just double check for anything and make sure the shape of our beard is nice and even. I like to check the shaping once I have most of my shaving cream off of the face, and I will double check the client back at the chair in the mirror just to make sure that everything is nice and straight. So here I'm just being a little more detailed to give that clean, precise lineup. And I'm gonna add water before moving on to my next step. When I add water, I am checking for the direction of the hair growth. So this client's hair is growing at a downward angle. So going in, I am going to start with the hair growth and go down in those areas. And then I'm gonna feel, and I can feel that this goes a little bit more sideways. So I'm going to use the back end of my straight razor and kind of get that angle, making sure I'm not stretching the skin too much, and then moving back over to finish up this side, going with the hair growth. So once I have that done, I'm going to make sure everything's feeling nice and smooth and really short before going against the hair growth. Remember, we do not want to start pushing hairs into the client's skin. So when the hair is long, probably over 1/8 of an inch long, we are going to be pushing that hair back into the skin. So we want to go with the hair growth and cut it all as short as possible to the skin. And then we go against the hair growth to get any of the stubble that we still feel. Now, when you are straight razoring, you really only want to pass this over the skin 3 times. You never want to shave the client more than 3 times in one area, because you can take a lot of their skin off and cause a really big patch of irritation, especially on the underside of the neck. So then I'm just going in and getting his little spot right there and moving on to the other side. We're going to repeat the same steps. So I am just going in and applying my shaving cream and making sure that I am moving those hairs up so that they are easier to shave, applying water, and then starting at the peak of the hair and giving that nice C shape. And you can see the client has a spot right there. We're only gonna go over that once. We are not gonna touch it again. Don't be scared to go over it. It's gonna be good for the skin, but you definitely don't wanna irritate it any further. So we're just gonna follow down with the hair growth. And you can see I'm getting closer to the eye. I am using kind of the middle part and the bottom. So for different areas, you're gonna use different parts of your straight razor. And you can use the tip, the middle, or the back end, or you can use kind of the full razor. But you're not always gonna be able to get that full touch of the entire blade on the face. So just get comfortable with kind of using it in certain spots. And so I am going up against the hair growth since I already knocked everything down, and just really feeling for anything again. We only want to go over the skin 3 times with a shave. You definitely don't want to cause a lot of irritation. The tops of the cheeks are going to be a little more resilient to a shave, but the bottom of the neck is a lot more sensitive. It doesn't get as much sunlight, so it's going to be a little bit thinner skin. And so right here you can see I am starting at the bottom of the neck, and I am going with all of the hair growth, which is growing downwards. So I am using the front end of my straight razor, and then here you can see I'm making still kind of the front end contact. You see that little spot that was skipped? That's because I can't get in this corner as well with my full blade. So I'm gonna kind of take it in little steps and see what I can reach easiest, and then go from there. So for me, it was a little bit easier to come around the client and start to work my way against the hair growth. And I am just slowly going up against the hair. And you can see I'm using that edge of my razor, making sure to be super careful around all of these curves of the throat. And we also want to make sure we get a really nice clean shave. So I am keeping everything super wet. I am applying water from the bowl continuously throughout this entire shave. You can see my hands stay wet so that I can continue applying moisture. The biggest part is moisture. You want to make sure your blade is gliding over the skin. You don't want a dry shave. So now that I've finished all of the face shave, I'm going to wash my client's face with a nice cleansing face wash, just to remove any of the leftover residue of my shaving cream, and it's really nice and relaxing. So
And do that to normal?
I like to include a facial with all of my shaves because clients normally don't take the greatest care of their skin if they are men. So it's nice to give them a bright refresher before they head out for their day. So I'm going in with a warm towel. I will close the pores later, but for now I want to remove all of this residue, soothe the skin, and make sure we're cleaning everything. Afterwards, I use a toner and I put a cold towel on the client's face to close all of the pores. And then I go back in with a moisturizer. So if you enjoyed this video of my straight razor tutorial, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Come back for another tutorial.
Lotion? Oh, that was lotion.